The new history is Zosimus, Gordian and Philip, 16. These princes being wrecked in a storm, the Senate conferred the supreme direction of affairs on Gordianus, the son of one of them. In his reign, the Romans related a little from their former melancholy, being treated by the emperor with plays and other amusements. But awaking, as it were, from a profound sleep, they formed a secret conspiracy against the emperor, instigated by the council of Balbinus and Maximus, who incited some of the soldiers against him. This being detected, the heads of the conspiracy and many of the accomplices were put to death. 17. Soon after this, the Carthaginians became discontented with the emperor and attempted to substitute Savianus in his stead. But Gordianus raised a force in Africa, which quickly caused them to submit. Upon this, they delivered up the intended usurper, solicited pardon for their offenses, and were freed from the danger that hung over them. Meantime, Gordianus married the daughter of Themistocles, a man in high estimation for his learning, and appointed him prefect of the court, by which he seemed to supply the deficiency of his own youth in the administration of public affairs. Having secured the empire, he was in continual expectation that the Persians would make an attack on the eastern provinces. Sapor, having succeeded in that kingdom to Artaxerxes, who had restored the government to the Persians from the Parthians. For after the death of Alexander, the son of Philip, and of his successors in the empire of the Macedonians, at the period when those provinces were under the authority of Antiochus, Arsaces, a Parthian, being as exasperated as it at an injury done to his brother Tiridates, made war upon the satrap of Antiochus, and caused the Parthians to drive away the Macedonians and form a government of their own. The emperor therefore made all possible preparations for marching against the Persians. Although he appeared in the first battle to have obtained the victory, yet the confidence of the emperor in the success of this enterprise was considerably diminished by the death of Themistocles, the prefect of the court. Philip, being chosen in his place, the emperor's popularity in the army was gradually dissipated and vanished. Philip was a native of Arabia, a nation in bad repute, and had advanced his fortune by no very honorable means. As soon as he was fixed in his office, he aspired to the imperial dignity, and endeavored to seduce all the soldiers that were disposed to innovation. Observing that abundance of military provisions was supplied, while the emperor was staying about Carrhae and Nisibis, he ordered the ships that brought those provisions to go further up the country, in order that the army, being oppressed with famine, might be provoked to mutiny. His design succeeded, for the soldiers, under pretense of one of the necessaries, surrounded Gordianus in a very violent manner, having killed him, as the chief cause of so many perishing, conferred the purple on Philip according to their engagement. He, therefore, made peace with Sapor and marched towards Rome. As he had bound the soldiers to him by large presents, he sent messengers to Rome to report that Gordianus had died of a disease. On his arrival at Rome, having made the Senate his friends, he thought it most politic to confer the highest preferments on his near relations. From this motive, he made his brother Priscus general of the army in Syria, and entrusted the forces in Moesia and Macedonia to his son-in-law Servianus. Thinking that he had by these means established himself in the possession of the empire, he made an expedition against the Carpi, who had plundered all the country about the Ister. When an engagement took place, the barbarians, not being able to withstand the impetuous charge of the Romans, fled into a castle in which they were besieged. But finding that their troops, who were dispersed in various directions, had again rallied in a body, they resumed their courage, and sallying from the castle, attacked the Roman army. Being unable to bear the brisk onset of the Moors, the army solicited for peace, to which Philip readily assented, and marched away. As there were at that time many disturbances in the empire, the eastern provinces, which were uneasy, partly owing to the exactions of exorbitant tributes, and partly to their dislike of Priscus, their governor, who was a man of intolerably evil disposition, wished for innovation, and set up Papianus for emperor, while the inhabitants of Moesia and Pannonia were more inclined to Marinus. 21. Philip, being disturbed by these events, desired the Senate either to assist him against such imminent dangers, or, if they were displeased with his government, to suffer him to lay it down and dismiss him quietly. No person making a reply to this, Decius, a person of illustrious birth and rank, and moreover gifted with every virtue, observed that he was unwise in being so much concerned at those events, for they would vanish for themselves, and could not possibly long subsist. And though the event corresponded with the conjecture of Decius which long experience in the world had enabled him to make, Papianus and Marinus being taken off, yet Philip was still in fear, knowing how obnoxious the officers in that country were to the army. He therefore desired Decius to assume the command of the legions in Moesia and Pannonia. As he refused this under the plea that it was inconvenient both for Philip and himself, Philip made use of the rhetoric of necessity, as the Thessalians term it, and compelled him to go to Pannonia to punish the accomplices of Marinus. The army in that country, finding that Decius punished all that had offended, thought it most politic to avoid the present danger, and to set up a sovereign who would better consult the good of the state, and who, being more expert both in civil and military affairs, might without difficulty conquer Philip.